A friend with weed is a friend indeed.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Christian Hanna Horror here. Welcome to another episode of Surviving the Sequels, and today we're talking about an incredibly good and underrated horror movie that just came out, Leprechaun Returns. Now, I want to start off by I guess this is a rant alert. This movie was getting panned. This movie was getting killed by people. People were just saying it's the worst thing they've ever seen. So I went into this movie watching it, not expecting the world. I watched it and I was absolutely amazed at how much I loved this movie, how well I thought it was done, and how great of an addition to the Leprechaun entry this was. So all the people that just hated it, I'm not going to try to change your mind, but all the people with an open mind that haven't seen this movie yet, or have seen this movie and want to have an open mind about it, I'm going to try to give you 5 reasons why you need to see this movie. So let's get started. Reason number 1, it is true to the original Leprechaun franchise. Leprechaun Returns is more so the sense of what Halloween did. It's erasing everything, going back to the first movie. This movie takes place about 30 years after the original happened. We see Leprechaun flashback, he gets melted down, he's dying, and he falls into the well. Well, this movie is about Jennifer Aniston's character's daughter who's going back to live in the house that her mom was at years ago. It's like Halloween. They rebooted, they go from this to a sequel that's taken place 30 years later, which I really love that because the way Halloween was done, I thought was incredible. I like that it kind of went from the first to now. Wasn't sure about it before, but then I saw the movie, open mind, and I really liked it. So if you like that formula that Halloween did, well, Leprechaun Returns literally does the same thing, which could be an important trend we're going to start seeing in horror movies today. We'll see. Reason number 2 is the return of the character Ozzy. No, I'm not talking about the singer of Black Sabbath. I'm talking about Ozzy from the Leprechaun films. You know, the guy who was always trying to call the cops saying, "The Leprechaun is here, the Leprechaun's attacking." Ozzy's back, and Ozzy absolutely makes this movie. Ozzy was my favorite character in this movie. It wasn't just one of those things where they brought him back, showed him in for a second for a cameo. No, he's actually got a really cool role in this movie. And I gotta give it to Ozzy. His acting was really good. Now, go back to the 1993 Leprechaun. All the characters in the movie, their acting wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't watching Schindler's List or watching, a movie like that. The acting was what it was for Leprechaun. But Ozzy's character, the gentleman who played Ozzy, was fantastic. All the actors across the board in this movie were really good. I'll just go ahead and say that right off the bat. So I don't know what people were saying when they said that this was one of the worst movies they've ever seen. I don't get it. But let's go to reason number 3. Reason number 3 is the gentleman who played Leprechaun in this movie, Lyndon Porco. Filling in the shoes for Warwick Davis was going to be one of the toughest things anybody could do, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But the Lyndon Porco came in, he clearly watched the Leprechaun movies, studied up, brought that element that Warwick did, but put his own personal feeling into the character. Lyndon Porco kills it as the Leprechaun, and I just want to give him a giant round of applause. Every time you see him on screen, he's funny, he's great, he makes you laugh, but he's also a force to be reckoned with. Lyndon Porco has facial expressions in this one that Warwick Davis didn't exactly do. Warwick is a little bit more cartoonish in the way he looked upset and aggravated, but Lyndon was able to get a more fierce and visceral look out of the Leprechaun while still being able to make you laugh when he talks and says funny lines. But he's definitely a force. There's a different element to Lyndon's Leprechaun, but it's still in the roots of the original Leprechaun franchise. So I give Lyndon Porco 5 out of 5 stars. A great performance.
Reason number 4, guys, I'm going to be serious for just a minute. It's going to be just pure quality. I just really want to stress how well I thought this movie was made and was done with love and affection. If you're a horror fan, this movie is made strictly for you. And that's one thing I really want to emphasize. I was really excited after finishing this movie that I was going to be able to talk and say great things about it. It's unfortunate to see that it seems like hating things is trendy nowadays, but I'm not going to be one of those persons for this movie. It was great.
The last reason, but the most important reason, is the gore. Now, if we're watching a Leprechaun movie, we know we've got to have funny kills and great gore. And this movie does not disappoint you at all. One of the greatest scenes, spoiler alert, but I'm not giving away the movie, but one of the greatest scenes in the movie is definitely in the beginning when Leprechaun bursts out of Ozzy. It is one of the most gruesome but funniest death scenes I've ever seen. One thing I noticed that this movie does is it seems like it kind of spoofs some kills from different different horror franchises. Some movies in particular, without spoiling the scene, is there's a scene in It that they kind of replicate and do a little goofy version of it. Obviously, we get like the chest bursting scene of Ozzy in the beginning of the movie, but it's more like a gut bursting scene. But it is absolutely hilarious when you see the leprechaun bursting out of Ozzy. And Leprechaun Returns was just fantastic. I really can't praise this movie enough. I think it was the best since the original movie, and I do mean that with all sincerity. So there's 5 reasons you guys need to check out Leprechaun Returns. Now, I know that this movie does not have a Blu-ray release yet. I believe you can find this on certain streaming services, and it also just came on Sci-Fi, so if you have Hulu, you can probably stream the movie now. Leprechaun Returns, I hope it gets a great Blu-ray release, and I want this series to continue. I want to see more movies from this piece of the series, Leprechaun Returns. They did set it up for a sequel, and it was absolutely hilarious. Leprechaun Returns, give it the fair shot it deserves. Don't just hate it because it's trendy to hate things now. Look, you're going into a movie called Leprechaun. Just remember that. You know, it seems like everybody wants to become a critic all of a sudden about the Leprechaun franchise. Go back and watch those movies and tell me that this one did not deliver on the same level. That's it. I'm getting off my soapbox for a minute. I just want to come on here, stop everything I was doing. I had to change schedules to make this video because it was very important to me. Leprechaun Returns. A great little horror movie that came out and was really on par with the original, I thought, and I hope to see more from it. That's it for Christian Hannah Horror. This is another episode of Surviving the Sequels. We got a lot of great videos planned for you. Friday night, I will be filming Top 5 of 1997 with my buddy Tommy. Until then, we'll see you guys later.